I am now going to introduce you to one of my very favorite shapes. It's not my absolute favorite shape. My absolute favorite shape is the triangle, but circles certainly have to be up there as one of my favorite shapes. There's some terminology you need to know when it comes to circles. Here's my circle. Pretend like it's perfect. And that is the center of my circle. If I draw a line from the center of my circle to the edge, anywhere, that is called a radius. The plural of radius is radii, and there are an infinite number of radii on a circle. It's all these lines that you can draw from the center off to the edge. Now sometimes you will see a circle drawn with two radii that are directly across from each other, like that. When you have two radii lined up just like that, that is called a diameter. And that is the distance across the circle going through the center. These two things become important in figuring out the circumference. The circumference is the distance around the circle. Like if you had a circular garden and you were going to put a fence all around it. That is called the circumference. And if you know one of these, the radius, the diameter, or the circumference, you can figure out the other two. Let me show you. Let's say that we have a circle and we know that it has a diameter of, let's say, 6. Diameter is 6. What is a radius? Well, a radius is just going to be half of that, right? So the radius will be 3. What about the circumference? Well, the circumference we have a formula for, and the formula is C, that stands for circumference, equals D, that's your diameter, pi. And this is a funky little Greek letter. You make it by making kind of a curly top like that with two straight lines. And you spell it P-I. It's a Greek letter. So our circumference is C d pi, as in C d pi, give me a piece of it, I want to eat it. C d pi, that's how you're going to remember that formula. This is one of those formulas that you need to commit to memory. You will use it pretty much for the rest of at least your scholastic life, if not your whole life. So, in this case, our circumference is going to equal our diameter, which is 6, times pi. Now this is a very perfect answer. You're thinking, but I still don't know what pi is. That's because pi is kind of a weird number. Pi, I'm sure you've heard before, is 3.14159 blah 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 blah. And it keeps going. Here's the thing about pi, is it never repeats. Never repeats. And it never stops. It goes on for all eternity. So it cannot be written as a regular number. It cannot be written as a fraction. It cannot be written precisely as a decimal. Sometimes people use 3.14 as a handy little approximation of what pi is. If you're being really lazy, or if precision is not really required at all, you can just use 3. So here I would say that my circumference is about 6 times 3, which is 18. So if this is 6 inches, my radius is 3 inches, it would take about 18 inches to go all the way around. Let's do another one, just to make sure you've got it. If I told you that we had a big old circle, maybe the dome of a cathedral or something, and it was going to measure with a radius of 100 feet. What is the diameter? And then what is the circumference? Well, if the radius equals 100 feet, then the diameter is going to be twice that, right? So the diameter is going to be 200 feet. And the circumference is going to be the diameter times pi, which is 200 pi, which is about, ooh, look at this little not quite equal sign, a squiggly equal sign. It means about 200 times 3, or 600. So it would be 600 feet to go all the way around. That's how you work with circumference, radius, and diameter.